right, let's go ahead and get started. For this evening, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of mine heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our Redeemer, and it is in His name, which is His authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect tonight's message. Amen. Shalom, family. Peace, peace, peace. Welcome. Thank you for coming on with us. Um, Going to go ahead and give one more last sermon, at least for a little bit, not forever in the day, but one more last sermon before I take the rest of the week off outside of SOC University and Patreon stuff, and maybe some things posted here or there. I will be off this weekend, and coming up is Elder Alma's Born Day on Saturday, so basically Thursday through Sunday, we will be incognito, and our ministerial staff will be stepping in, so prayerfully, definitely for Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the live sessions in the Rising, our podcast as well, early Rising Bible study session, all that should be taken care of, and I will see you guys again on Monday in the Rising. So prayerfully, all that works out for you all. I thank you all again. I appreciate you. I hope that your day is going well, and hopefully you guys are able to hear and see me all right. Mic check 1 2. If you can't hear me, let me know. But I think everything should be all right. And I will not be here that long before you. So quick message for this evening. Let's say shalom to everybody real quick. Once again, we give our honor and praise to the Most High. We give our honor and praise to Him for my wife, the Honorable Alma. How's everybody doing? Shalom, Brother Keith, Sister Joy, Sister Beck, Sister Mignon, JoJo, Aaron, Elder Tamara, big Brother Thomas. Hopefully you're feeling better and things are getting better. I see BLM Ox, Babies A, Lottie Dye, everybody, thank you for being on with us. We appreciate you so much. So this is going to be quick, fast, in a hurry, so to speak, especially compared to what the norm is for our live sessions, right? But it's not going to be that long. I want to speak to you tonight and on this particular subject matter. Let's say our Bible pledge and jump right in. This is my Bible. This is my sword. And this will I trust. Kashfai is Lord. No sword of God shall ever be heard. For this is my Bible. And this is Yah's word. Hashem Yechavach. Aman. Hey, how you doing, Sister Sherry? Thanks for joining us. ¿Cómo estás, mi hermana? Gracias por tu presencia siempre. Hallelujah. We're excited and thankful and grateful for this message on this evening. So let's go ahead and get into tonight's message. So there's a saying that we're used to in our diaspora, in our communities, but we'll go ahead and say it again. There's a saying that goes like this: Y'all don't like ugly. You know, we used to say God don't like ugly, but we've graduated from such language, and we come out of that. And as we're coming out, y'all don't like ugly. And you know, I was like thinking about this. If you notice, the last evening session we did on Friday, while I was outside the bowling alley, I was talking about an old saying then as well. So I've been on this old saying kick and ancestry and what we used to say, and we are ancestors. What curses are we bringing? What sayings are we bringing? Stuff. And I was on this, and I was like, y'all don't like ugly. And it got me to thinking about this too, because there's a rapper, if you're not aware of who this is, you know, basically he's actually really great at what he does. But, you know, he's a rapper, and the persons are looking at he's going to be the Kendrick Lamar of the next generation. Right, persons are looking like this guy's on his way. He's actually been under J. Cole, and he kind of hasn't really gotten what he's necessary for him to blow up. And now he's got an album he's rolling out, and it's kind of being hidden by some of the clip stuff going on, if you know about hip hop. But you know, Jid has been coming out. Jid, he's from Georgia, and I mean he's nice as far as lyrically nice. But the name of his album is that God does like ugly, and it's a play on Y'all Don't Like Ugly. Now, I haven't heard his album yet. I'll probably listen to it at some point because if so many young persons are going to be listening to it, we probably should at least know what it says and what he's talking about and what thought process it comes from. He does have a very interesting, very great head on his shoulders for a lot of different things. That being said, you know, he said the name of his album is God Don't Like Ugly, or God Does Like Ugly. And I thought about it. I was like, does y'all like ugly? Seemed like a weird conversational piece, but just being honest, how you doing, Big Bell? If I just, you know, kind of got into it, I was like, does y'all like ugly? How you doing, Kofi? Right? Because what? And then I had to start thinking about it. What is ugly? Like, does y'all look at, we look at a skunk. Skunk, I guess, looks nice, but, we just think of it as ugly because it's got a very ugly smell or a putrid smell, right? We think as we see a spider, I can't. I have arachnophobia. I can't really do spiders like that. If I have to deal with them, I'll deal with them. But for real, I'm not gonna be yelling and running away from them. But for real, I kind of tense up when I see spider. I just don't like them. That being said, spiders are not ugly to Yah. They're His creation. I was thinking to myself, hey, when you see I don't necessarily think of a wildebeest as being ugly, but you might look at a wildebeest, you might look at a, and be like, oh, that's ugly, right? But is that ugly to Yah? I started thinking, how you doing, Sister Knight? I started thinking, and I was like, you know what? Does Yah, like, I think, no, we're not all Muslim, but if you're a Muslim, you can still be on here and have a conversation if you like, but, or you can keep scrolling, but I hope you have a great day. But I just was thinking about that, you know? Like, oh well, you like, okay, well, I'm not in the same ballpark, but either way, but does Yah like ugly? And I thought about it, and what is ugly to Yah? A very interesting thought process, right? So I I was gonna open this up for us, right? Because our ancestors used to say, now we know what they meant when they said Yah don't like ugly, because they were really saying, be up here, you thinking you all that, you be treating persons a certain way, whatever you gonna get was coming to you. That's what that saying is. Y'all don't like ugly. But I was just thinking about it, and I was like, well, why don't we just look it up? Right? Why don't we just look up? Does Yah actually like, matter of fact, what is ugly? Right? I know in the Bible, if somebody's not comely, that means they're not handsome. But Yehoshua, it says, wasn't handsome. Did Yah like him? Did Yah love him? Right? There's certain times when we say, like, for example, we tell persons to humble themselves, but we think humility means to be pious, as in be a doormat. But humility means to be in one's lane. So if you're humble, but you're in your lane as royalty, and you're speaking as royalty, does that mean because somebody else doesn't think that you're kissing their feet enough or kissing their behind enough, that therefore that's ugly? Right? We got to figure out if Yah doesn't like ugly, what is ugly? Right? It's just an interesting saying. It's something that we say. It's something that's not even, I don't even know if it needs to take that much time, but it is what it is. Since you came through, you might as well listen to it a little bit. How you doing, Lil Zay or Lil Zai? I'm not sure which one you go by. But, if Yah, I'm like ugly. So I went into the Bible, right? And Bible app. And I just simply typed in the word ugly. Now, ugly doesn't show up in the King James Version. Right? It doesn't show up in the King James Version. However, it does show up in other versions, right? So, which is interesting. So, if I go to the New King James Version, I'll see it in Genesis 41, verse 3, and Genesis 41, verse 4, right? Now, this is talking about stuff dealing with our people, with Israel. And it says, when it's talking about ugly, it's actually using it to talk about how it says about the cows. Remember, there were cows that were fat and that were great and that they were fed well. And then it says there were 7 sickly cows, right? And these cows, had a bad appearance or whatever. But here in 41 verse 3, in the New King James, it says, behold, pay attention, 7 other cows came up after them out of the river, ugly and gaunt, right? And stood by the cows on the bank of the river. And the ugly, right, and gaunt cows ate up the 7 fine looking and fat cows. So Pharaoh awoke. So we see that word there in the New King James. So if we go to King James, if we go to King James, Genesis 41, now we've done this in our By the Shot series, but let's go to Genesis 41 and see what this word is as far as in ancient English originally, and then in Hebrew. Let's see what this is talking about, this thing that we now call ugly. Because really, it didn't call them ugly here. Here it called them ill-favored. Right? So does Yah like something that's ill-favored? If Yah is with you, are you ill-favored? I didn't say if your circumstance is easy, are you favored? Or if it's hard, are you ill favored? I said, if Yah is with you and you are his, are you ill favored? Two different words, by the way. Ill, actually dealing with a word that would be closer to a resh sound, but it would be rach, not ra, but rach, right? That's ill. So to be rach, right? To be ill is to be, watch this, to be ill, right? According to the word, is actually to be bad or to be evil. Did you know that? Now it is due to evil that one becomes ill, right? But hear what I'm saying, right? One is not ill, right? Hear what I'm saying. Hear what I'm saying. Stay with me. If one is ill, rather, excuse me, they are considered to be bad, evil, or watch this even. They are considered to be ill is considered to be disagreeable. Now I got to be careful. I got to be careful because this is not saying that if one gets sick, it is only because you are disagreeable. But have you ever been sick and been to a point to where it's hard to be agreeable? It's hard to be nice. It's hard to be pleasant. Matter of fact, part of the definition is unpleasant. Part of the definition is giving pain. Part of the definition is misery. Part of the definition is unhappiness. Part of the definition is displeasing. Part of the definition is it to be bad and to not be as valuable or to be worse than in comparison to where you were. So to be ill is, yes, one can be sick, but also ill is speaking about getting to a place when we are ill, we get to a place where we are disagreeable. By the way, if somebody is ill, mentally ill, physically ill, psychologically ill, spiritually ill. With those of us that are strong, this is Romans 15:1. Let those of us that are strong, right, that have the strength in us, the strength of Yahweh in us, those of us that are strong, let us take on the what? The infirmities, which are also known as mental health issues or mental health challenges. Let us take on the infirmities of the weak. So if somebody is ill, we must recognize that dealing with somebody ill means I'm dealing with somebody who could be disagreeable. If I'm dealing with somebody who's ill, I'm dealing with somebody who is malignant. If I'm dealing with somebody who is ill or a situation, right, that makes one ill even, I can become unpleasant. I should look at these things and be honest. Now be honest, be open, especially if you have friends and family, you can be honest around so that it's okay for you to vent. Of course, you can vent to the Most High. Prayerfully, you have leadership you can vent to as well. How you doing, babe? My wife is on. Love you very much. Thanks for being on with us, right? But to be ill, now that's just English, right? Looking at this word ill, right? It translates to rach, but also is considered to even be achival. So to be ill is to be evil. Watch this. Had there been no evil, had there been none of us eating of the fruit of the vine, the fruit of the tree, the fruit of the shrub, we don't know exactly what the so-called tree of knowledge of good and evil was. But had we not ate of that tree that we weren't supposed to and sinned, we would never have dealt with evil and therefore never had become ill, right? Or rach. So to be rach is to be ill, right? Ill-favored is the word they're using here for ugly. Right? So let's continue to look. So we found out what it is to be ill. But ill-favored, right? That's what they're saying here in Genesis 41 verse 3 and 41 verse 4. And later on in Genesis 41, when Joseph brings up the dream again, or Pharaoh brings up the dream again, to be ugly is considered, they don't have it in the original King James, but when you look at it in the New King James, you will discover that this word ugly they're putting in place of ill-favored. Now here's favored. So ill, we just talked about, but to be ill, to be favored, right, is talking about this word they're using specifically here is this marach, right? Marach. So to be rach, and then to be rach morach. Also, marach. Marach actually means to be a teacher or a master. So a master or a teacher is one who is favored, right? So to be rach marach is to be ill-favored. To be rach marach is to be, or we could even say la'ach marach can actually be looked at as being ill or looked at as being what we call sick, right? But this is what they say in English now. We would equate this term ugly. And today tonight we're talking about Yah doesn't like ugly, right? You hear this term all the time. Yah don't like ugly. Okay, well, what is ugly? Ugly. Now this word marach though is saying that it can be used in a different sense as well, right? So marach can actually also be used in a sense, or even marache, but we'll just say marach for now, even though marach or more, right, can also mean teacher. But marach can also, put in a certain type of thing, can also be talking about how one appears, or the sight, or the vision, or the countenance, even, or the appearance, right? Even in the supernatural. So one can be ill in the supernatural because one can be ill favored. So this is basically somebody saying ill, rach, and then putting it with marach, tells us that these two combined are telling us don't focus on the positive, focus on how this has become illness. Right? Now remember, marach can be a teacher, but also marach can be a phenomenon. Marach can be a sight. It can be a pleasant sight. It can be a pleasant appearance. It can be how one appears in Yah. It can be great. It can mean that your outfit is nice. It can be marach. It can be a few different things that you're talking about with this. But to say one is rach marach is literally saying that they are ill favored. So they are sick in appearance. They are sick in spiritual appearance. They are sick in psychological appearance. They are sick in the way that they show themselves. They are sick in the way that they present. They are sick. Something about them is off. Something about them is ill. Something about them is not what it's supposed to be. So when we see them, there's something going on. So if we see somebody who is rach marach, Elohim does not like that, right? Remember, this word is what they're using to describe what the cows looked like that were sickly, that were seen in the dream by Pharaoh. There were great cows that were fat, that were engorged, that were eating well, and then there were 7 cows that came behind them that were sickly. This word here, sickly, is actually something, this ill-favored, not being in the favor, not being in how they were created, not what we would expect to see. When they were ill-favored, right? This means that this is something that Yah does not look favorably upon in this instance, right? Or that Pharaoh at least is saying it does not look favorably upon. So if there is something that we're carrying that is ill favored, now we got to ask a question: does Yah like that? Does the Most High like ugly? Does he like us to be ill favored? Does he like us to be rach marach? Does he like us to be the opposite of, or a sick version of what our appearance or countenance or love or say or words or affection or, of course he doesn't, right? Does Yah like ugly? No. But if we're dealing with ugly, if we're dealing with ill favored, if we're dealing with rach marach, what I'd like to leave with you all, and I'd like for you to pray about this even in my being gone for, being around but not being the main person in front of you guys for about a week. What I would like for us to think about is starting to put things in place. I'm going to call it a love action or a love plan. We might call it an action plan, but love is an action. Yahweh's love is what we want. Yahweh's action, Yahweh Achaba, is what we desire, is what we need. So we need to start getting to a place where we are planning on righteousness always being there and superseding and making sure that our lives are put together in such a manner that we only are planning for righteous result. Doesn't mean that we won't have things to go through, but we're planning on righteous results, right? What is your 5-year love plan? Or what is your 5-year love plan? Yah loves you enough to say that this is where you're supposed to be. What are you going to do and to love yourself, to act for yourself, to act as Yah said according to what he has for you? What is that plan going to be? So that the ill-favored things, when they show up that Yah does not like, he can still help you to follow his word and follow his plan, so that all things work together for Tabah, for us saints, right? Who the Holy Spirit is interceding on behalf of, who Achaba, who have the action, have the action plan even of Yah, right? And are called according to his great purpose for our lives. What does the action plan look like? What does it look like when ill-favored stuff comes up? Because Joseph is told about the ill-favored stuff in Pharaoh's dream. Joseph repeats the ill-favored stuff in Pharaoh's dream, but then remember we talked about this in the series, he came with an action plan. He didn't just get second in command because he told him what he dreamed about. He came with an action plan. Yah doesn't just give you the dream, and he doesn't just give you interpretation, or whoever's dealing with you interpretation. He also gives you an action plan, right? And so we let us look. Remember, even some of the stuff we got to become workers. We got to become laborers. What is the labor we're going to have to put in to make this work? What Yah has for you, for your healing, for your land, for your financial gain, right? For your exquisite, divine feminine beauty, for the wealth that helps you to be the masculine man that you need to do to make sure that your family is provided for, taken care of, right? For you to come out of darkness into his marvelous light. There is a love plan. There is an action plan. Yah does not just want you to be saved. He says, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. That means there's a plan. There's some work. So what is the work? I want us to start focusing on this. We're going to be talking about this. I'm not sure if it'll be a series, but we'll be bringing up action plan quite a bit, because saying I'm going to get there is not enough. And thank you for being part of the community, Kevin. I apologize for not saying so earlier. Right? Saying I'm going to get there is not enough. My works have to go with my faith. Right? It's time to pick up the mountain and say to it, remove, be thou removed and cast into the sea, and not doubt. But there's also action that goes into that. Work your own salvation now. What is the plan? What is the plan for your marriage to make it to 30 years? Not just it would be nice to be married. What is the plan? What is the work? What is the plan that's there when things get ugly, when things become ill-favored? When the ill-favored shows up, that's already in Yah's plan. He doesn't want you to stay in the ill-favored. When the 7 years of lean came, they had already prepared for it in the 7 years of vast greatness, of vast abundance. They made sure that they were putting stuff to the side. And during this, they were actually using it to make sure that Pharaoh and Israel and the king and all others were going to be able to have land for years and years and years to come, where the people would be able to trust in their king as they were giving tribute to the king who was making sure that they had food. Right? What is it that you're going to do? What is the plan? What is the stop? The STOP. What is the plan that Yah has given you, and are you adhering to it? What does that look like? Beloved, take time out to write it out, to make a vision board, to make your web, if you remember the web diagrams we used to make, to write the books, to look at the business plan, to start having something you can put an EIN in instead of a social security number. We talk about these things, but it's time to go. It's time to move. If we've seen nothing else lately in the news, it's definitely time for us to realize that this thing is getting worse before it's getting better. Persons are losing jobs. Our sisters are losing jobs more than anybody. Well, I won't say more than anybody else, but a lot more. Right? The DEI thing is not just affecting us, by the way. Black women have become the face of it, as they always try to make us feel like, and I'm not saying black women, our sisters are dealing with a lot. That being said, they're number 5 on the list. Do you not know that like white women are the first ones that were dealing with DEI stuff, and they're the ones being kicked out? They just don't want to tell you this, right? White men are pretty much right next to it. Natives who are not even natives are the ones who are getting kicked out. You're dealing with some other, I forget who it is after that, and then black women come next. Black men aren't even up close to black women. They further back. And because of this DEI thing directly, was it 300 something thousand of our sisters have lost their jobs. Praise Yah, Sister Carla. I'm on, right? 300 something thousand sisters have lost their jobs, right? But this is not what Yah likes. This is not what he wants. Matter of fact, he doesn't want you to worry about having to toil. His goal is to try and get you to start coming out of it and be part of something that's greater, right? Somebody can use your same talents. You can consult. You don't even got to be on their payroll like that. You be on their payroll, but they're going to give you what you want, right? Maybe even making less, but not having to worry about them automatically taking the money out so that you can make sure you deal with how stuff should be taxed within yourself, might be the next move. Now, whoever this is for is who it's for. I don't know. I don't know everybody's exact situation. I'm just saying, don't get stuck on the stuff. There's so much stuff to where they're trying to get us distracted, as we were talking about for early rise of Bible study session, right? Like, y'all don't like ugly. And so he doesn't like the ugliness. He doesn't like the ill-favored stuff you're going through, right? He doesn't like the fact that this is messing with your appearance, it's messing with your attitude, it's messing with your friendships, it's messing with your personal space, it's messing with your ability to sleep. He doesn't like it. That's not his will. If anything, if he wakes you up out of sleep, he's waking you up because he's trying to get you to talk to him. But he ain't trying to get you to wake up and just be hurting all night, right? So yes, Yah doesn't like ugly. And so if you're going through something ugly, if you're going through something ill-favored, it's time for us to start having a plan and realizing that part of your plan, a lot of persons don't do this when they plan, but when you plan stuff out, especially for your business, make sure that you're planning to not always be in the black, but sometimes be in the red. In other words, make sure that you're not only planning for everything to go perfectly. Make sure that you recognize that in business you're going to have ebbs and flows, and your chart hopefully keeps going up. But before it keeps going up, just realize on your chart it's gonna do this. It's not just gonna be a straight line going up. It's going to be, you might have, but as long as it keeps doing that, going in that direction, let it keep doing what it's supposed to do. And you be faithful and plan for this stuff and be ready. Be ready for rough times. Have your mind ready to go to places to where it can get rough. Have your mind be ready to go to places to where, yeah, I've told my story before, and I've shared with y'all, even in the newest iterations of SOC the last few years that have popped up. I've told the truth and been like, hey man, I've almost thrown in the towel a couple of times. I've almost thrown in the towel a couple of times. But what I've done is I've trained my mind, to even with persons that I've lost in my family or things of that nature, I've even eulogized persons in my mind, prepared myself for, hey, this might happen. This could go awry. This might not be exactly the way that I wish everything would. If I had, the pen to my own story, I would write it da 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 da. But this might not be the will of Yah that everything's going to go this way, and so I might need to be prepared, right? I might have to be prepared for a family member to stop talking to me for a little while, right? But have those things as part of your mindset, as part of your love plan, as far as your action plan, as far as your Yahweh plan, right? Have this stuff on deck. At least start to develop some of these things, because not everything's going to be perfect, right? But everything shall be perfected. Not everything's going to be easy, but everything shall be perfected. Not everything's going to be without any issues. You're not going to always be perfect, and sometimes you will sin, but it doesn't mean that you cannot be perfected and get back under the law. So just be ready for that. Pray about it. Seek Yah on it. Yah doesn't like ugly, so if you don't like ugly, He's not going to keep you in ugly, but He will prepare you to be able to go through the ugly times or the ill-favored times. Amen. All right, so I'll just leave it there. Hopefully this helps. Hopefully this helps you with what you've been going through and different things. I appreciate you. I hope that you guys are doing well. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Until I have a chance to be before you again, which will be Monday. Please continue to do great things. We give all honor and praise to the Most High. We give all praise and honor to Him for my wife, the Honorable Alma. And just because I won't be on the live sessions doesn't mean the live sessions will not be happening. Right now, we know for sure Friday, Saturday, and Sunday they will be prayerfully. Somebody will be able to step in on Thursday as well. If not, just check your emails every day. You should get an email saying what's going on for all the stuff. The schedule should be out for you guys for the week and all that. So thank you guys again. Appreciate you. Pray for us as my family and I get some much needed family time and some much needed just getting away and chilling out and seeing what Yah has for us and enjoying yet another blessed year. So love you all. Appreciate you. Yam Yasalav. To the Honorable Alma. And thank you guys for allowing us to step away for a little bit. And please check out same times on Thursday, Friday. As far as Thursday, even if we don't have a live session on Thursday, there's a possibility it might not be on Thursday. We will have one Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We will have our Shabbat service on Saturday on the podcast. We're looking to see what's going to happen with the children for Saturday. Men's meeting will still happen. We have three brothers, our three ministerial staff, our brothers that are still on staff. We will make sure that they prepared, prepare themselves to give a word for the men. And we'll let them, I'll start the Zoom and the brothers can be on there to continue the Zoom and let it keep going. But yeah, just thank you guys. We honor you. We appreciate you. We hope that you enjoy yourselves. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me and to my family. We will see you. So I will be around. I'll be listening in. I just won't be participating until Monday. But please make sure that you support Elder Anais, Elder Tamra, Minister Samela Ray, Minister Akita, all these persons that'll be on, and probably Minister Raj, Minister Yasav, Minister Morel, and if anybody else is going to be preaching and teaching during this time, Minister Samela Ray. I think I said, I'm not sure, but just all you guys, thank you for stepping up. We hope that you guys enjoy. Let's continue to do what we're supposed to. Let's continue to support each other, and prayerfully, we'll see you, throughout the rest of this week, continuing the schedule, and I will see you guys personally on Monday in the Rising, and go into whatever Holy Spirit has said. Just as a reminder, too, we have finished officially the Bada Shot series, so that's on YouTube pretty much in totality, except for one thing that didn't upload, which is like Genesis 38. I think everything else uploaded fine. Still hoping that it will upload, but you can go through and you can catch up on all that stuff. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. We honor you all. And you guys have a great day. And if I don't see you, on the little miscellaneous things I'm doing here or there, if I don't see you until Monday, continue to support each other, be here for SOC, and remember as always that you are loved, you are necessary, you are majestic, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. All right. Shalom, take care. Early Shabbat Shalom if I don't see you for Thursday and Friday. Talk to you guys. Take care of each other. Love y'all.